mythological American town or wherever I imagine them, and I can reflect my own emotions onto what I think they might be feeling, and I can create stories and characters and arcs and all this stuff, but I don't have to have it feel like when I put out an album, I'm just like giving tabloids ammunition and stuff.
Yeah, there's so much judgment that would come along with every record.
Yeah, and constantly kind of like examining yourself in a way that feels like I felt like there would be a point in my life where I could no longer really do that and still maintain a place of like good mental health and emotional health and all that. So what I felt after we put out Folklore was like, oh wow, people are into this too, this thing that feels really good for my life and feels really good for my creativity. It feels
There's a way
good
out
for them too. Oh my God. I saw a lane for my future that it was a real breakthrough moment of excitement and happiness, and I kind of referred to writing these songs as a flotation device because obviously this year is hell on earth for everyone, and seeing what your fellow humans are going through. The Long Pond studio sessions was the first time that Jack, Aaron, and I were in the same room, and I still haven't been in the same room with Justin Vernon, who has now collaborated on 2 albums heavily, and we've talked, but we've just never been in the same space together. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, how was that experience when you first caught up together and saw each other having made this amazing body of work? Because we saw it on camera. There was this giddiness and this idea of like, wow, we did it, we made it, now we can celebrate it and make it real to some degree. But what was going on behind the camera? That's what I think we all want to know, is when you all first saw each other before the cameras rolled, what was happening then? Because that's a truly human experience that I don't think you or anyone has ever been through before, where the stakes were so high for remote reporting, and then you all come together and it's like, wow, how do we even translate this?
It was such a strange thing because we'd been on, group chats, and it wasn't ever the combination yet. So the combination of the 3 of us was like this strange feeling of, I remember I walked into the studio, they were already rehearsing, and I walked in and it was just like they were a band. It wasn't that feeling of awkwardness between them, because I guess they'd had their moment. I walked in and I heard them playing August or something, and I was just sitting there thinking, this is exactly how I would have wanted it. I would have wanted this, reunion or union at all to happen in a moment of me walking in on them creating music and rehearsing and playing instruments, and I just started rehearsing too, and it was such a vibe. And it couldn't really have been, I couldn't have asked for more under the circumstances. It's so fun to make a record when you've got people in the room and you've got that energy that's bouncing off the walls. But if you can't do that, this was a pretty close second.
Yeah, I mean, no one's been able to do that. Very rarely have people been able to get into a room and get that tactility and that chemistry that we all, I guess to some degree, became so accustomed to. And, I think about this year, you talked about it and you put it in the perfect framework. But it's also taught us a lot about stillness and what it is to be still and what it is to reflect and to be comfortable in our own skin. And I think human beings by nature search for coping mechanisms and distractions to avoid that. And in your case, I've always felt that you've moved so fast. And even if you've taken some time between projects, it's clear you're working on things all the time. What has this process of working on Folklore and Evermore, busy year for you as a songwriter, but also has it taught you something about stillness, and has it altered your attitude toward pace and productivity and what motivates you?
Yes, it has changed everything about the way that I do what I do. It gave me a perspective of, I was pretty upset when my shows all got canceled and I realized I wasn't going to be able to connect with my fans in the way that I'm traditionally used to. Just a normal human interaction I couldn't do anymore,
Especially after an album like Lover, which is just like such a communal, joyous experience. I can imagine it's like, wow, I'm going to get to bring this to life,
Yeah, and I think we all felt that way. I think the fans felt that way too, where we were just sitting there going, wow, I think that would have been fun. But what it did was, when you plan a live show, I guess at least when I do it, I'm writing interstitial music. I'm planning, this set piece goes off while this goes on, while we distract them over here, and this song calls for this and this song calls for that, and that's all creating. And I don't think I really assign very much merit to the fact that that is creating. When you're taking music you've already made and an album that you've already made, and you're choreographing and you're setting up a live spectacle that is taking up so much emotional, creative, and imagination-based bandwidth in your brain. So if you take all of that away, what happens? And I guess I learned that it's very possible for me to write more music with that creative bandwidth. As musicians, we're so used to immediately touring, immediately putting together the show, immediately going into rehearsals. And then we always feel that we need a pretty big break, or at least a significant gap of time where we get to rest afterward. And I guess I learned that when we're on the road, it's not just that we're sweating and we're meeting a million people and we have all this back and forth of just energy of meeting this person, trying to get a surprise guest to surprise the crowd, and all this stuff that happens on tour. It's also the creation of the show itself that is taking up a lot of your brain space. So without that, this just happened naturally on its own.
Is there a dysfunction to that, do you think, looking back on it now? Is there a correlation between some of the kind of more hard to manage parts of your life and the pace at which things go, and how careers become these kind of entities unto themselves?
Yes and no. I think that looking back on my career, there have been so many different musical phases and, different things I wanted to wear at different times, and they fit my life at the time. And so I think that you've got to allow yourself that grace to put on a certain lifestyle or a certain outfit or a certain creative mantra, and then discard it when you outgrow it. This was weird though, because this Evermore was the first time I didn't discard everything after I made something new, It was weird. I actually had to kind of fight off anxiety that I had in my head, like fear that was like, you need to change. Like the demons are here, like, you need to change. You can't stay in the forest. I was like, I want to stay in the forest.
But the forest is such a weird place, because when you were a kid, and I think aesthetically that's a big part, a significant part of what's made this so immersive, this experience, is that idea of stepping into the unknown. And when you're a kid, like, this idea of wide open water is really scary, not knowing what's underneath. Being out in the forest and looking directly into trees that could go on forever, is kind of an intimidating type of image, and yet you made it feel like something that was intimate, like you wanted to go into that. How did that kind of relate to the music? Because it's such an essential part of these two albums, the way that it looks and feels.
I think that working with Aaron, the music that we were making, he was writing instrumentals and I was writing the melodies and the lyrics. And what ended up happening was, I think we just gravitated towards what both of us simultaneously felt made us feel cozy, which was nature. So many people during the pandemic just were going on hikes and trying to get outside, because nature symbolized this strange comfort all of a sudden, where everything was completely off kilter and nobody could really figure out how to get their bearings. And so we all went outside, or we all tried to go camping, or tried to go hiking, or go on drives. And I think that Aaron's music and my music both reflected sort of that feel, with Aaron's such an amazing instrumentalist, and his instrumentals that he was writing were all very kind of dreamscapes. And so it's not that this album is all about like the forest and the woods and stuff. It's got hints of that, and there's a lot of kind of the lyric. One thing I wanted to do with Folklore is I wanted it to represent spring and summer. And when I made Evermore, I knew that I wanted to fill in the rest of the seasons of the year and have it reflect fall and winter. So that's another element that nature came into it. But also it was the easiest way that we could do a photo shoot. I haven't had a haircut by anyone except for myself since lockdown started. And that's kind of how it's been, like how can I make art and make visuals that go with this art where I can't ask my hair and makeup people and my stylist to quarantine for 2 weeks away from their families. I'm not going to ask them to do that, and ask them to fly and expose themselves to the virus. So how can I possibly make a cover on my own? Could I just sort of DIY this? So I asked my friends if I could use their field and their woods, and I used a photographer who works alone. She doesn't have assistants. She shoots on film. So we were carrying bags of film out into fields, and I'd be touching up my lipstick, and then I'd run out into a